People sometimes get lulled into a false sense of security.
I never thought anything like this could happen.
I had looked down for probably not even 5 seconds.
Very few seconds. Just, I don't know, reach down to get that.
Whenever I looked back up,
I didn't
it
even
was
see him.
too late.
I did not even see him.
Probably due to text messaging or
I was
talking on the
coming
phone.
back from prom decorating.
I always look for my phone. I use mine a lot when I'm on the road.
I reach down in the floorboard and grab my CD.
Well, I think as that PSA illustrates, kids are easily distracted by pretty much anything.
And pretty much they mumble even more than we do on the show.
That's true. Now, 6:30 Friday is the documentary called Smashed, sponsored by Safeteen, New Mexico. And it's going to be playing all month on this channel. This is the premiere of it, actually, in New Mexico.
Maybe even longer than all month, because this
channels,
month's almost over.
Other channels will be having it after we do, here on Channel 98. But Friday night, 6:30, we'll be having Smashed. And I think as the documentary will point out, New Mexico has the highest incidence of kids 13 and under drinking. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, except that you just told me, and we've been talking about it. But now I know that kids under 13 actually isn't the legal drinking age under 21, so therefore between 13 and 21 should be the
There's a lot of fake IDs
little
going
amazing
on.
stuff. So even if you're 13, I didn't drink until I was 32.
But you've been making up for lost time, is that it?
Well, I don't know. I just used to eat alcohol. I used to, on a fork. That's what they told me. I'm easily duped. As you can see, I'm doing this show. You got me to do this show.
You were talked into doing this show.
Obviously duped. So yes, kids, if you're under 13, why are you watching this in the first place? But in the second place, if your
Cartoons
parents are
are on.
watching this, watch out that your kids don't drink. Very often, the kids are coming from families that have beer all around all the time, and it's just part of the tradition of drinking. Sometimes you could be at a barbecue or something, or your uncle gives you a beer. He says, "You're 8 years old. It's time for you to grow up. Here, have some beer." So that's what would happen.
I don't think that's what gets them started. I think when the
What
kids
gets them started?
when the kids are adamant about them not drinking, but the kids see them drinking, but the parents are adamant about the kids not doing it. I grew up in a home where my parents drank and cocktails before dinner and whatnot. I didn't become a raging alcoholic. In fact,
Until when?
to get my allowance, I was their bartender, and I never had a drink as a kid growing up.
Well, because when you're young, the taste of alcohol is pretty bad.
It is.
Especially martinis. Did you make martinis?
I know usually rum and coke.
That's a really tough one.
That's what
That's
they
a
liked.
real taxing drink
Rum and
to make.
cokes, yeah.
You put some rum in, you put some coke
Once at a
in.
time, I make a Cuba Libre out of it.
Really? What do? Use Ron
Squeeze
Rico or
some
something?
lime, and that's it.
That's it? That's the only difference?
And anyway, so kids think they're not allowed to do something that makes them want to do it more.
Oh, but
It's the same with sex.
because your parents allowed you to have
They didn't make a big deal out of it, so it wasn't a thing that I thought I had to investigate.
Well,
Community Foundation.
Now the Community Foundation is sponsoring the documentary.
but you won't get the recipe for a Cuba Libre there. You'll get the recipe for having a cold, sober family, which is kind of what you want, because being cold and sober is the only way you can experience reality. Then you know what you're running away from.
Yeah, so next week's show, Michael will show you how to make a Cuba Libre.
I will. Or I will bring in an experience. Let's do martinis.
Okay, whatever you want to make, Michael
You don't drink
will make.
Coca-Cola.
I don't drink.
It's got
I don't drink it.
modified cornstarch.
I wouldn't. No, I don't drink because of the ingredients in Coca-Cola. But I drink other cola products that measure up.
Okay, well, give me the menu of things you can drink, and I'll bring them in.
Well, because a lot of people do get drunk and drink too much because they don't understand their limits. They wind up being guilty of domestic violence.
They do.
Which is quite a problem down here in
That's our
southern New
there we are.
Mexico.
You just skipped right over our we'll do that next week, I guess. We're going to talk about real ghost towns. Like we'll move back. In a ghost town, not too much family violence.
Well, we can back up to the ghost town. I thought we talked about the ghost towns already.
We didn't talk about the town that's supposed to have 35,000 people who don't live there being made specially by the government so that they can experience...
well, first off, this is the ghost town of Mogollon. I was there yesterday. Mogollon, New Mexico, which is north of Silver City. There's about 10 people that live there, I guess.
At one point, it was considered on the list to be the capital of New Mexico because it produced so much
Silver.
wealth in silver.
It was a boom town.
It was a rich, rich town.
It was loaded with saloons and
Is it
houses of ill
kind of
repute, and there's still a theater there.
And they do plays. Of course, there's nobody to watch them because nobody lives there.
Nobody's there, but
The ghosts watch. If you believe in ghosts, then you might as well do a play.
it's a kind of a struggle to get down there and then get back out of it.
It is pretty weird, yes. It's a weird place.
It's a one-lane road.
Yeah, and that lane isn't...
It's not very wide.
It's like a European lane.
Yes, if you make a mistake and go over the edge, that is it. You're dead.
Yeah.
They're gone. In fact, they may never even know you went over the edge.
But that's how they populate their ghost town.
Yeah,
They-
right.
they
That's where they get their ghosts.
Right, they just people falling off the edge. That's the
Right.
logic there.
So, do we need to talk more about domestic violence?
You know, Ashley Meeks does an awfully good job explaining how people have created problems for themselves. In fact, in the paper on Wednesday of
You need
this
to
week,
say who Ashley Meeks is.
Ashley Meeks, everybody watching the show should know Ashley Meeks because we mention her often. She is the writer of, she goes into the police records.
She's a
and
reporter for the
writes
Sun
up
News.
Stories for the Sun News. But she makes stories exciting and interesting, and you feel like you're watching either Law and Order or CSI, and the details are great. And it turns out that if you look at the paper on Wednesday, there are at least 3 different stories about people who have not only done domestic violence, but did armed robbery, battery, shooting outs, and they have multiple counts, and they're the type of people that you would want to see in jail.
Like the people who bite people's lips off and rip people's nipples off?
Those people, you don't want people doing that unless, of course, you're a plastic surgeon and somebody's paying you. That's the only person who would benefit from any of that.
You know, so far recently in Las Cruces, we've had 2 lip rippers and 1 nip ripper.
Yes, yes, we're just a rip snorting town here.
Well, a lot of people are into body mutilation, as we've discussed earlier. Maybe this is just its latest form.
Body mutilation, I believe, refers to having your body mutilated on purpose,
At
as
will.
opposed to somebody attacking you and trying to take off your
Customizing
body
your face.
Tyson-wise. You know, you don't want a Tyson job on you.
Bite your ear off.
Or Van Gogh. You know, but that was himself doing it.
Well, why don't we go from domestic violence to something
This show.
like domestic wines?
I can't think of any good reason to do that except they both have the same word domestic in it. But yes.
What if you got to get to wine, Michael?
I love wine, not necessarily domestic wine, but yes, there are some good domestic wines.
Snob.
Well, no doubt about that. What about domestic wines?
Well, you know, it used
Tell
to be.
me.
I used to be a wine
snob.
snob against New Mexico wine. 'Cause I just didn't get it. I didn't see the quality there. I didn't see the drinkability there. But in the last 10, 15 years, they've really come up in quality, I feel. Don't you?
You know, I would not disagree with you on this. I would wonder why we're bringing this up, except for, are we ready to talk about Luna Rosa opening up a new place?
Well, that's a good
Or
idea.
just-
Well, you know, we had the wine tasting out at the fairgrounds last week.
Yes,
all the
that's always
wineries
good.
were there. And, you know, it's a big industry in New
You know,
Mexico.
you still are a wine snob, and I agree that you are, as well as the fact that I too am a wine snob, and I believe New Mexican wines are good enough now to drink. If you remember 18 years ago, or whenever we did our old show, there was the winery that used to be in the Bins Winery, which Hervé Lescombes ran.
Yes.
And they used to have gigantic kegs, oaken kegs with a little spigot, and you'd bring your kerosene bottle and
Yes,
fill it up,
fill it
and you'd fill up a gallon bottle for $3. Yeah, that was rot gut.
Yeah, it was
But
pretty
now
bad.
we have wonderful stuff. The D.H. Lescombes brand is good. St. Clair has a
St.
number
Clair.
of really good ones.
Blue Teal.
Which is part of St. Clair. So
Yes.
you can go there.
Well, they have
and
5 labels.
They, at least,
Yeah.
Mademoiselle, somebody or other.
Right.
They have plenty of things. Test. You could just go to Mesilla, test the wines. You could go to Luna Rosa Wines. You go to,
Luna Rosa just opened up there on Avenida de Mesilla.
and they're doing oven pizza. And St. Clair is
Moving soon.
and has their wine tasting thing. They have the most variety, but also across from the Fountain Theater, the place called Vintage has its own wines.
Right,
It's a good
that's
place
correct.
to
That's correct.
taste.
And there's nothing better than a glass of wine if you're eating out. Wine just complements a meal so much more than, say, a glass of water does.
And the only thing better than having a glass of wine when you're eating out is when you're eating at home and there's nothing going on. You might as well just drink some wine, but you should have food with wine. Don't drink wine just to get drunk.
No, not to get drunk, but sometimes a glass of wine before dinner, Michael.
Wonderful. It's good for your heart.
And that picture of people we have eating dinner out, they're enjoying wine.
That picture of people we have eating dinner out, they're enjoying wine, they're enjoying each other, they're laughing. What makes you laugh except when you're totally blitzed?
Well, that's not the idea of drinking wine.
No, wine should be
or
drunk
drinking
for taste.
anything.
And speaking of taste, I think it would be tasteful for us to end this show.
We should.
A little bit.
And next week, I want to bring up the fact. I was reading Harper's recently.
You've brought up many facts
about a lady
about food poisoning.
About a lady who's won the Texas lottery 4 times. And next week we'll talk about that. Oh, there's a big article in the recent Harper's magazine.
You're making this up.
But that's not this week. We're going to have to come back to that next week. That's just a little teaser. So until then,
you little teaser, you.
This is Mike and Mark saying join us next time right here on Double Talk.